The following morning we bumped into someone I hadn't seen since 2014, which was Ansu Jawara, who's a bird guide around Kotu Bridge. He convinced us it'd be a good idea to take a boat trip on Kotu Creek. Hi folks, we're on a boat trip this morning with our guide for today, Mr. Ansu Jawara, who everyone calls Prof, because he's like the professor of birding here, and it's apparently the second best boat driver. I'm just playing. So yeah, we're here. He's good. I'll put his contacts up afterwards. Say hello.
Hi, hello.
There you go.
Watching. This is a very nice creek here. Available for 1 hour tour here. You saw you the common kingfishers around here. Actually, you can see 4 different kingfishers within an hour here. With some common birds here, cormorants, woodpeckers, and some colorful woodland birds here. So with me, Ansu, aka Professor, you will be able to see a lot of birds here within an hour. And this is just an introduction. You can tailor more further afield, and then you can see a lot to see in the Gambia. So welcome to the Gambia.
You heard the man. The creek was actually reasonably quiet with birds, but we did get quite close-up views of egrets and herons. Also a long-tailed cormorant, which pretty much followed our boat around. We saw a few kingfishers, like this malachite kingfisher. We were really lucky to get a view of a striated heron that was fishing amongst the mangroves. This video isn't the best, but this is a lifer for Kaylee, so that was super. We continued on the river and saw some of the other herons present, like this squacko heron, which was perching high in the mangroves. And a little later on, a bird I'm pretty familiar with, which is the grey heron. Following this boat trip, we took a walk in the rice fields behind Kotu Stream. We saw a couple of birds which were very new to Kaylee and were great to see, like this oriole warbler. These shy birds aren't usually easy to see and are usually heard rather than seen. We also had this beautiful male African paradise flycatcher. Some of the more common birds were around too, like the little bee-eater. Although it's common, I absolutely love these birds. They're full of character. After seeing this lovely grey woodpecker, we headed back down the path and were greeted by a striped kingfisher. This is a lifer for both of us, so we were both extremely happy and had super views. It was good to see Ansu again, but now it was time to part ways and head for some food. After some food and a short nap, I headed out birding again whilst Kaylee had a swim. This time there wasn't as much about as previous, but I did see a lovely fork-tailed drongo. Went to the same spot we'd seen the striped kingfisher, and again it showed up, which was super. And had a surprisingly good view of an African crake. These are reasonably rare birds. Back at Kotu Bridge, I had a stunning view of a giant kingfisher. Whilst watching this kingfisher, there was a lady behind me picking up crab lines she tied to the bridge. I had to go and have a quick look to see how she was getting along. It's good, that.
Yeah.
What's your name?
My name is Ali Matu.
What a lovely woman. Later on, we headed out for a meal. This time, we chose a local Lebanese restaurant called Shiraz, which is excellent. The food is absolutely stunning, and the staff are great too. This was a great experience, and a good way to end the day. We're going on a trip today with Musa Mane, who's the bird guide here, the top bird guide in Gambia. And where are we going?
We're going to Lemon Lodge and we're having a bird and breakfast.
What might we see, Musa?
So probably you might see the buzzards and kingfishers and some kind of wading species anyway in a mixed form. Woodland species and the like. So it might be an interesting day today, of course.
Excellent. And we might be taking someone along with us. Turn the camera around.
Turn the camera around.
Yay! Thank you, Musa. Let's get
go.
going. After a short drive in the early morning, we got towards Lammin Lodge. As we got closer, there were piles of oyster shells by the sides of the road. Lammin Lodge is synonymous with oyster farming. This is a big industry in the mangroves of Gambia, and Lammin Lodge is one of the biggest places to see people oyster farming. That was, except for today. More on that in a bit. We headed up towards the lodge itself, had a quick cup of tea, and then onto the boat. As Kaylee is more than a bit shaky with ladders, she did need a little assistance.
Do you need a help?
Yeah, I always do.
Be careful, yeah? Be careful. Just step on.
Do you know what I'm going to do?
Strongly, yeah?
Backwards.
I'm going to go backwards.
Yes, you can. It's easy.
Yep.
You there? You're good, you're good.
And then the last one, go down and
Hang
last
on
one.
a second.
Easy. Okay.
You're doing really well.
Go. Okay.
I'm scared of ladders, by the way. Just thought I'd let you know now. Sorry.
Watch out.
You just got whacked in the bush.
Okay.
Give me thumbs up, babe.
Mind your head.
Hang on, let me just get on.
Nigel, you going?
Yeah.
Yeah,
want-
thumbs up. Don't
You
whack
go
me
that
in the-
side.
When in the boat, we took a trip up the stream, seeing the oysters on the sides of the mangroves. We also saw a little bit where they've set aside a place for larger oysters. I can't remember exactly how this is fished, but you can see on here oysters hanging off the ropes. This little boat is used by one of the ladies who pick the oysters. They were not there today. The reason was it was Easter weekend and we came on the Sunday, which was actually Easter Day. So they gave them a day off. Regardless, we went up the stream looking for birds. Our boat driver doing a hell of a job. I'm sure by the end of this trip he must have been absolutely exhausted. We looked around us for some birds and were greeted soon by a blue-cheeked bee-eater. I love the bee-eater family and this is one of my favourites, so I was super happy. As we went on further down the river, there was an African darter. These are often nicknamed snake birds because when they swim their bodies are entirely submerged and only their necks are visible looking like snakes. A little bit later on we did get some very brief glimpses through the mangrove of the timid white-backed night heron. This is a lifer for both of us, so we were super happy. Carrying on down the river we saw a lovely African harrier hawk. This is a grey bird with a red face. The redder the face, apparently the more excited they are. Coming back towards the shore, we had views of Caspian tern, and on some of the boats moored in the river, there were collections of pigeons and doves sat on the boats, most numerous being the speckled pigeon. Eventually, after our poor boat driver fighting against wind and currents, we made it back to Lammin Lodge and headed into the lodge. This meant climbing up some pretty rickety looking stairs. This lodge has been rebuilt a few times and this current one has been up for about 10 years.
Fair enough. I'm up. Oh, here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice, actually.
Happy?
Yeah.
When we made it up to the top floor, we were served breakfast. and this breakfast wasn't exactly basic. So this is breakfast at Lamin Lodge. Apparently there's more to come. And there's omelettes, and there's bread, and there's jam and butter and honey, and there's Musa, who can't eat at the moment because it's Ramadan. Looking at all this food. Isn't that sad? Anyway, should we get tucked in? We've got donuts too. We ate as much as we possibly could, which unfortunately wasn't everything, and then headed out with Musa. First of all, looking at the abandoned oyster farm, which was pretty fascinating. Big piles of oyster shells all over the place. After this, we headed out birding. We went down some local paths and eventually found a lovely pair of pygmy sunbird. These were stunning. After that, we went on to some reasonably active rice fields where people were working, both women and children. Saw a lovely yellow-fronted tinkerbird. And looking out over these lush rice fields was flocks of white-billed buffalo weaver. These were flying around also with village weavers as well. We walked through some amazing vegetation, stopping to have a look at this lovely little sun squirrel. There were lots of fruit and vegetables being grown here. Mangoes were pretty popular. There were quite a few onions, cassavas and tomatoes too. Some of the birds around included this green wood hoopoo, which was sitting with its young, a lovely yellow-billed shrike. I finally got to see a fancy saw-wing swallow landed. These birds generally fly around. And before we left, we saw this great Namakwa dove on the floor. We then headed for the shade of a tree, whilst Musa went to get his car. I forgot to say, he's got the same car as me. After this, we headed up the road towards a lunch spot we'd never been to before, but we'd heard a lot about. This was called Calypso Restaurant. This was pretty famous for having crocodiles in the pool. It is a lovely little peaceful restaurant. The pool, although we only saw one crocodile in it, did have a lot of other birds like hammercops. Pied kingfishers fishing. I got a great view of a bird you don't often see, which is a black crake, and I ended up playing some guitar. I'm not sure how Kaylee felt about me playing guitar. This Agama lizard was visibly excited. Or at least I think so. I can't really read lizard emotion. After our lunch, we headed down the beach, which was stunning. This is a really wide open beach. And we're lucky enough to get sightings of both crested lark, which I'd seen in Europe before but never in the Gambia, and a very confiding Abyssinian roller. I stood and watched this roller for quite some time. These birds never fail to amaze me. Beautiful colours. On the way off the beach, the roller gave us a very clear message, and then we headed back towards the hotel. That evening, I took a walk in some rice fields next to a cycle track which isn't far from the hotel, and was greeted by this green vervet monkey. There were some of the normal birds there, like little bee eaters and red-eyed dove, but I was super happy to get a picture of this lovely purple swamp hen. What a great bird. After going to the local shop and bumping into the lady who usually serves breakfast, we headed back to Chosan. There is nobody here, just us.
In this restaurant.
Which is wacky, really wacky. I'm here at Chosan restaurant on the
Gambia
Strip, and this is Bai, who's one of the people who serve us at the tables, and he is an absolute star. He's big into his animals like we are. You've got a ton of animals at home by the sound of it. What have you got?
Okay, we got like chicken, we got dogs, we have rabbits, we have one monkey.
What type of monkey?
Is it a green vervet?
Yeah.
Green vervet, yeah?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the things we have there. So you are always welcome, and want to see everyone here. Nice people, good friends. This environment is lovely. It's really nice. You're always welcome.
Why should we come to Chosan? What's the food like? Is it great?
Yeah, the food is fantastic. It's lovely, and we have a very nice live music here.
Yep.
We have the best band here, so always welcome.
Working.
Yeah, man.
I'm back with Bai at Chosan, and apparently he's a hell of a cocktail maker.
Yeah, we make nice cocktail. We have a very good bar here and a very fantastic, lovely cocktail here. So you will always love to.
It's disappeared off. He couldn't say it. There he is.
I don't know where.
Today was to be a full day's birding, starting off at Kartong Nature Reserve, again with Musa Mane. He took us down a track next to some water where we saw some white-faced whistling ducks. These were very numerous. Also, again, African jacana. Lovely views of a distant African spoonbill. In front of us in the reeds was a fishing malachite kingfisher. Moving further on for a different view, we had a look at this piece of water, and there were so many different birds on it. All sorts of egrets, herons and ducks. We had views of spur-winged goose, which are one of the only geese in Gambia. Also 2 young knob-billed ducks, which is birds that both me and Kaylee have never seen before. Walking on down the path, I got a brief view of this young northern crombeck. This bird is unusual for having almost no tail. At the other side of the path, we had some great views of an osprey, which had a really big fish. These views were pretty distant, hence why the footage is so shaky, but still a great bird to see. And in a tree nearby, a pair of grey kestrel. We then walked on to some pasture area where we saw a few swifts and swallows, including this red rump swallow. Feeding in the grass were some European winter migrants, yellow wagtail. What amazed me here was so many different subspecies. There was the regular yellow one, there was one with a more bluey grey head, and later on we saw one with an almost black head, very dark grey. Looking up into the sky, one of the ospreys flew low over us. There was a flock of yellow-billed stork, which also flew quite low. High in the sky there were pelican flying, both pink-backed and great white pelican that were great to see. My star bird was the grey-headed kingfisher. This is a kingfisher I've been after for a while, and this bird showed really nicely. Heading further into some dry scrubland, we saw a plain-backed pipit, A little bit further after hearing this bird, we eventually found a Violet's barbet that was in the top of a tree. Amongst some dry bushes there was a zitting cisticola, which in Britain we call fan-tailed warbler, a very shy grey-backed Cameroptera, and then back on the path looking over the grass we saw a group of black herons. And the surprise, certainly for Musa, was the relatively rare black scimitar bill. This looks a little bit like a green wood hoopoo. Musa was super happy with this. Then, after a soft drink in a hut, we went down the beach looking for white-fronted plover. We split up to find these, and I quickly found them. There were 4 on the beach, but 2 were quite close. These birds aren't the most common, but are super birds to see. Absolutely gorgeous, and they were very confiding. They let us get quite close. One of the birds was ringed and apparently had been ringed in Kartong. We were very, very happy to see these really cute birds. After this, we headed back towards the car. Hey folks, Kartong here, we've been birding for a while. Kaylee and Musa, our guides, are in front. I just stopped for a second. It's a pretty good day. It's been warm, but it's been a pretty good day. We've seen quite a lot of birds. It's tough to list them all, but there's quite a few lifers, a few for me and quite a lot for Kaylee. White-fronted plover being great, grey-headed kingfish for me being a particularly good bird. Also red-rumped swallow, which I really like too. So we're heading somewhere for lunch, and Moose's taking us somewhere else afterwards. It's got a photo hide with potentially some other cool birds, so follow us to see what we saw and the rest of our amazing adventure.